Hello, everyone. I trust you had a great trading and investing week. I know I had an interesting one. This week, we saw the return of risk appetite. And this, we saw some level of volatility and recovery in the stock market. So some bit of recovery also in some major pairs in the FOREX market. And we saw decline in the dollar. But as you know, I am Adesina Adetunji, the lead coach at Trading as a Business Group and a private fund manager. Before I dive into what I have for you today, I would request that you click on the subscribe button for you to get our trade ideas, our market thoughts, and trading education, and so many stuffs. I'll be looking forward to read your comments on the comment section. And I also appreciate you share this video to view the market in the coming week. In today's end of the week technical analysis review of the market, I'll be covering the stock market, the Forex market. I'll be looking at, as usual, as it is our tradition, we'll look at the broad index, we'll look at the broad market index, we'll look at some individual stock, and we'll also dive into some trades, potential trades from our trade setup that has emerged in one or two instruments. I'll just take one on the stock market. I'll take one also on the Forex market as time permits. Now, this week we saw something very interesting. We saw a lot of volatility. We saw market investors coming strongly to the market, and it begin to ask the question: Is this the beginning of a recovery in the stock market? Now, let me just give you a better perspective. Let's look at the take a look at the stock market, the US stock market. Let's look at all the indices and let's look at the S&P 500. Now, from the beginning of the year up to now, the S&P 500 has declined about 12%, 13%. Until last trading week, the S&P 500 was down about 19% year on year. And last week was very an interesting activity. We saw the investor came back strongly in the week, and we saw the S&P 500 gained about 6% last week. I haven't touched an important, I haven't touched a low of 38.10.32, and this we saw the positive sentiment by the investors. We began to ask ourselves: Is this a recovery? Is this a resumption of the uptrend? Now, I'm actually looking at the S&P 500 chart, and you'll notice in the long run, the S&P 500 has been on an upward trend, and when it got to the high of about 4,800, it declined. And as of last week, technically, we saw a strong bullish sentiment. And what I've done here is to draw my trend line, and you would see that the S&P 500 in the downward sloping channel trend line that I drew, we saw the market back into the channel trend line. So, are we resuming the uptrend? Technically, is this giving us? Are we saying this is the beginning of another uptrend? Okay, let's take a look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones also. Okay, before I go to Dow Jones, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. You would see a similar pattern with the NASDAQ Composite Index. Also, the same formation. In the long run, it was an uptrend. We saw a decline. From the beginning of later in the last quarter of 2021, we saw NASDAQ decline about 30%. We now saw a strong bullish recovery in the NASDAQ after it got to the EME 200 moving average. So That's also another interesting thing. So you could relate. Now you could see that it's actually the same pattern, same formation that we saw in the S&P 500. Same thing we are seeing, relatively the same we're seeing in the NASDAQ Composite Index. Okay, let's take a look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones has relatively been trading within a range, within a range after really an uptrend is in an uptrend, and it has been trading within a range. So also we'll see that we saw some forms of recovery, some sort of bullish sentiment in the Dow Jones in the week. Now, let's take a look at the dollar index. Let's take a look at the dollar index. The dollar index has seen a strong decline in the week. So you see that the dollar index has continued to have some form of decline in the week. This is the second consecutive week you've seen the dollar index closed negative after it got to 105. The dollar index has been in an uptrend for a long time, and from our videos from our end of the week trading analysis, which we've been doing for a period of time, we noted that we expect a bit of a correction or a consolidation, and then thereafter a possible resumption in the uptrend. So now we see that the dollar also declined in the week, and it had a major decline of about 1.35%. Now, having an understanding of the broad index, so the S&P 500 had a bullish run back into the channel down sloping trend line channel, and back in. The question we're asking ourselves is this the beginning? Is this the resumption of an uptrend, of a prolonged uptrend, or the correction that we have seen after a prolonged uptrend? The Dow Jones trading within the range. Are we in a breakout from a significant level? Then the NASDAQ Composite Index now also back into the channel trend line, now add a strong bullish formation after it touches the EMA 200 on a weekly time frame. The dollar index also, we saw the dollar index depreciate sharply in the week. So this gives us an idea of what actually transpired in some major currency and some major stocks in the week. I know in the week we looked at some key setup that emerged in one or two stocks, and it's very interesting. So let's dive into some individual major currencies. Then we look at one or two stocks. Then we will give one or two potential trade setup in the week. Then we close it for today. So let's take a look at the Euro USD, which is one of the major currency pair. So the Euro USD has continued to recover. So the Euro USD also has recovered, closed strongly bullish for the second consecutive week. So for the second consecutive week, the Euro USD has seen a bullish recovery, a bullish close, and we ask ourselves, is this a reversal, or the US is setting up for a continuation of the down trend that we've seen it that it started around 1.2181. Now, the Euro USD is presently around a significant, an important support, maybe expected to be a resistance zone. But in order to also have another understanding, let's draw up our Fibonacci. I love using Fibonacci to look at the market so that you have an understanding of where the market is likely at. So you have a better gauge of where the market is. So the real USD is approaching the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement zone. So looking at a weekly time frame, technically, we still expect the USD to continue in the recovery towards possibly the 50% Fibonacci retracement zone. So I expect the USD to move into or to trend into the retracement zone of between 50% Fibonacci retracement and 38.2 Fibonacci retracement. So my expectation for the Euro USD is that this pair would likely found major resistance at the 50% Fibonacci retracement zone. Thereafter, we will probably see resumption in downtrend, or we wait to see how the market perceive the euro and if it could trend upward. Let's take a look at the daily time frame. Since I'm actually looking at the weekly time frame, let's take a look at the daily time frame of the USD before I dive into the British pounds. So we saw that Friday was relatively a quiet trading day. So the Euro USD around this resistance 38.2 Fibonacci resistance level. So we'll wait to see what the Euro USD will do on Monday. Monday 30th of May 2022. But I wanted to note that on Monday 30th of May 2022, there's an holiday in the United States, so the US stock market would not reopen. So we may relatively see a quiet trading session. So, but and that we expect to see some movement in the realization. Volatile, it may not, but this is an important level to look at. So we're looking at 38.2 Fibonacci retracement zone, which is at 1.0797, and possibly we are actually looking at this zone, which is an important level for us to look at. This zone is an important level to look at, the 50% Fibonacci retracement zone. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's get to the British pounds US dollar. Okay, let's take a look at the British pounds US dollar. Another interesting currency pair. Very, very interesting. Let's first look at the weekly time frame. I love to define my trend from a weekly time perspective. You would see that the same recovery has been seen in the British pounds US dollar after it found some major supports, some critical support level, technical levels. We saw the British pounds found some critical support levels, and we began to saw some bounce in the movement of the British pounds. So the British pounds also recovered, closed the week bullish, about 1.07%. But interestingly, the British pounds has actually gone back to an historical support that is acting as a resistant level at 1.2661. It has been in a downtrend. So as we had asked ourselves in the Euro USD, is this a recovery or setting up for a trend resumption. So let's take a look at the daily time frame. So we've seen that there's an intermediate resistance level at 1.2641. And the price is actually reacting, the market's actually reacting around this level. Let's insert our Fibonacci for a better understanding of what to expect in the British pounds. I'll be doing 1 or 2 videos on Fibonacci and how to use it to determine some key setup. How I use Fibonacci to determine trend and key setup. Subscribe to this channel so when the full video is posted, you would see how to effectively use Fibonacci. I use Fibonacci a lot to determine trend, to determine some setups. So interestingly, in this particular pair, British pounds US dollar, the Fibonacci, the price is within the Fibonacci retracement zone of 38.2 and 50% Fibonacci retracement zone. So the price is within this retracement level. So we're waiting to see how the market will react around this. So now we wait to see on Monday, 30th. So we'll sit tight and look at how the market reacts. But the question we're asking ourselves is this a reversal in trend or setting up for a trend continuation? Let's take a look at another interesting currency pair in the week, US dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar before I move to the stock market. The US dollar, Canadian dollar continued to trend strongly down in the week, and this was actually majorly fueled by a decline in the dollar and a strong appreciation in the Brent crude oil. And if the crude oil rises or appreciates, then you see the dollar, Canadian dollar, become strong against the US dollar. So this for the second consecutive week, the Canadian dollar declined by 0.90%. And I would notice that the Canadian dollar actually reacted around critical support zone, which we pointed out at the point in some of our subsequent videos, that this is the zone of the 1.28, 1.2830 level. It's an important zone. So for the second consecutive week, the red dollar actually, Canadian dollar, USD Canadian dollar actually declined. So what's our expectation for the USD Canadian dollar? We expect a continued decline, but we wait to see. We expect a continued decline in the USD Canadian dollar, and we'll wait to see what will happen in the market. If you are not already in the market, it's actually trading at an intermediate support zone. So this is an intermediate support zone. So what we need to do is to either wait for a bit of a correction, then a movement down, or we see some form of consolidation in the USD Canadian dollar down, then before it resumes downward, or a break up. If there is a break above the 28.30, then we see a full resumption in the USD Canadian dollar. Before I close for today, let us just take a look at 1 or 2 stocks that had a great setup for us in the week. What an interesting week it was. Like I said, the market sentiment in the US stock market on the US stock market was bullish in the week, and we saw some form of recovery. Intel was actually a very good setup for us for the week. In the week, we were looking at Intel. Our highs were actually out on Intel for like a 2 trading week. We saw that Intel had declined since for the past few weeks, and we're actually looking at this critical support zone. It's a critical support zone for Intel. So we're looking at how Intel reacts at this critical support zone. So it became very interesting when we saw a fake breakout in Intel in the previous week. The moment we saw a big breakout in Intel in the previous week, we did some bit of fundamentals, and we saw that Intel has a good fundamental. So we were waiting, and which means that Intel is trading at a discount. So we were looking for a technical setup for Intel. So what we did was we just drew up our downward sloping trend line, and we waited. The fake breakout saw some form of consolidation, and on Tuesday in the trading week, we saw an interesting setup, and this gave us the trigger, the signal to look at a buy in Intel. Remember, we believe that Intel is trading at a discount, and we saw this signal instantly. We did some test trade and said, okay, let's take a look at it. And on Thursday, we had a breakout of our downward sloping trend line. You would notice that every time Intel touches this trend line, it finds resistance. It finds resistance until a breakout was seen at a key support zone, which at 42.66. So Intel gave us a very good setup, and we're expecting that the share price of Intel will continue to appreciate in the week, because this is more like the beginning of the week. From a technical setup, this is what we call a bullish engulfing pattern. So we expect Intel to appreciate it. We have like 3 or 4 stocks that we monitored in the week. So guys, I hope I've been able to give you an understanding of what to expect in the market, how the market had behaved, what to expect in the market, and give you 1 or 2 trade setup. First off, bullish sentiment returned in the market in the week. We saw the stock market appreciate significantly in the week, and we saw a decline in the dollar. We saw some recovery in some major currency pair, and we saw also recovery in some stocks as well. But I'll just close up by just giving you what I am looking at in the week, which is gold. I'm actually looking at gold for the week. So what am I looking at in gold? Very, very interesting. So this is what I'm looking at in gold for the week. So as it is, I'll just give you a tip of what I'm looking at. So gold has been on a downtrend. This is the daily time frame, and it corrected. It had a corrective move, found resistance at this dynamic resistant trend line. Now, another thing is there a conviction around this level to say there is a possible resumption? As it is, I will always draw my Fibonacci, like you know. So I drew my Fibonacci. You would notice that gold actually found resistance at the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement zone, which is 1868.03. And also, that level is also around an historical support zone. So now acting as resistance. So 3 things. We have the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement zone, the moving average acting as dynamic resistance, and also at historical level. So I'm looking forward to go short, and I'm expecting that gold should resume the downtrend in the week. Alternatively, if gold moves past above the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement zone, then I have my stop placed above it, and let's see how it moves. If it moves, then you're looking forward to 1917. But now the downtrend, you trade in the direction of the trend, then down, there was a correction, another down, and now a correction. So we expect that gold also move would resume the downtrend. So guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with me. Please subscribe to this channel to get more videos, more trading education, more tips. Also, I would like to read your comments and your thoughts regarding the analysis so far. Share this video. It could be helpful to you. It could be helpful to others. Thank you, and have a great trading week.